Thank you so much, sir, for that rapid presentation. I think you have almost highlighted the important points. I have quickly a few questions. I'll just raise it. See, I think the idea of coming up with 50% cap on the definition of for the wages, particularly with respect to the excluded portion, I think this is newly coming up. What is your view on it?
It's a big problem because, the employees themselves preferred to have more of allowances rather than more of basic because they wanted a higher take-home pay. So now this has been reversed. So basic DA will be the major components, and that will constitute to be major part of the wage. If you pay as allowances, it will not be reckoned in. So, it's again a situation to compel employers to pay directly, the basic wages and DA, and pay PF also on that. So government has brought that. But I think many companies will now, because of this act, many employees will start getting more than 15,000 and they'll go outside the purview of the PF Act. Now, ESA Act also 21,000 is there, but I'm told that they're thinking of raising this limit to 30,000 to cover more employees. So obviously, though you may go out of the PF Act, you may not go out of the ESA Act. And I don't think employees really prefer to get covered under the ESA Act. They want the benefits of the act, but they don't want to contribute. So this is one of the biggest problems that they have. But this is likely to bring about a change in the type of focus that is there to the wage system. Any other query you have, Mr. Vardhan?
Maybe yeah, see, the industries, even if they come up with multiple components, I think at least 50% of the monthly gross of the individual will be treated as salary for any legislation for that matter, right?
I'm not able to hear your question, Mr. Vardhan. Your voice was cracking. Can you just repeat your question, please?
Audible?
Your voice was cracking, so I could not hear the question.
Voice is not clear?
Yeah, your voice was cracking, so I could not hear the question.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Right, okay. No, what I was saying is, see this 50% cap of the excluded components.
Yeah, 50% or what will be notified from time to time. That can vary.
Yeah, so maybe currently if we assume it as 50%, which is the maximum, the employers may have to revisit their salary structure?
Yes, very much.
Okay, particularly when it couples with the removal of ceiling of 24,000, which is prescribed under the Payment of Wages Act.
Correct.
So the impact could be more.
Yes, very much, because today the situation is that employees who are outside drawing more than 24,000 were outside the purview of that, and we never used to bother about them, because it was not relevant. But now. Okay. Since the salary limit has been removed, they also will be coming in as employees, and they would have a justification and ask this question: how much are we paid and how are we being paid? So you need to have a comprehensive policy for all employees, not just the executives and managers.
Okay. And with respect to I think national floor level minimum wages.
Yes.
Currently, in fact, this has got no statutory force, but if the industries want to follow, they can follow that. But in the courts, in fact, kind of statutory force is given to that concept. So, so the central government will fix the floor wage, and it can also vary from one place to another place. And the appropriate governments will fix the minimum rates of wages, which cannot go below the floor wages, right?
Very true. Very true.
How do you see this? Will this because I think I remember some 10 years back when I was working with preparing a kind of labor reforms report. Most of the people were saying that this national concept of national floor level minimum wage should be given statutory force, right? But now when it actually comes through, what could be the impact? What is your view on it?
No, it's actually going to create a little bit of a problem for companies, for states also, For example, some of those low-paying states like Tripura and others, if you go to Odisha, the eastern part of the country, the wages are very low. And if you go to the western part of the country and northern part of the country, like in Delhi and all that, the wages are very high. So states which are having high wages will not have a problem, but states which are having low wages, they will not be able to come up straight away to the floor level wages which are prescribed, and they may have actual problems. And you will see quite a lot of problems here in terms of implementation of the act. Many companies and individuals will not pay the wages. They will pay lower than the wage, and that can become a big problem. Enforcing
but even floor wage can be different from one state to another state. That is what is said now.
That's what there's no clarity on that.
So maybe your apprehension that with respect to northeastern states, maybe the amount of floor wage could be low, no?
Very true, very true.
So then it should be a problem.
I do see some challenges in this area and may not be easily resolvable.
Okay. One other question I have received is the minimum wages. Maybe if we apply the provisions of the proposed code on wages, should it be a basic plus DA should be equivalent to minimum wage, or the monthly gross, or 50% of the gross should be minimum wage? That is a question I have received.
No, I think it will be good for companies in terms of compliance to mirror the exact minimum wages as far as the state law is concerned, and then have allowances which are beyond that. Once you are providing for the minimum wages, then there is no problem about what structure you have. So you have a lot of freedom, provided you have a structure which mirrors the minimum wages.
Okay, so which means you suggest that basic plus DA should be equal to minimum wages, because that could comply with all
that will solve a lot of compliance headaches. Then nobody bothers about what is your HRA and what is your conveyance allowance and other things, because you are compliant with the minimum wages account.
Okay, fine, sir. Is there any idea when these codes will become effective? There is a question on this.
Basic, if you look at the code on wages only, this has been, they have submitted the draft bill, for comments and observations. So they have not yet notified it. That's my reading as of now. It has not been notified.
Okay.
Once it becomes notified, and then, they have also provided that notification for different components of the wage will be different days. So for example, Equal Remuneration Act, that, notification may be on a different date. So that also we have to see, which part of the act they are notifying. So the power of the government is retained.
Yeah. So one information which is leaking out is government is proposing to release all the 4 codes together, right?
Correct.
Fine, sir. Thank you so much, sir, once again for your lovely presentation. Now we will move on to third presentation, which is by Mr. Srinageshwar. Mr. Srinageshwar, he is at present the Vice President Group Industry Relations of the Simpsons Group. And Simpson is part of the illustrious Industrial House of India Amalgamations Group. In fact, he was the past chairman of the Tamil Nadu Committee of Employees Federation of Southern India, which is a 100-year-old organization. And he's the executive council member for All India Organization of Employers. He's a part of FICCI, New Delhi. And he was also the past chairman of All India Manufacturers Organization. He is actively involved in the HR/IR committee of CA also. And he has been trained widely in India and abroad. He has been trained as a trainer. And he represented the Council of Indian Employers in the Indian Labour Conference, which is considered as Labour Parliament of India, held from 2007 onwards. And he was part of Employers Group of India at the International Labour Organization Conference at Geneva in 2008 and 2010. And he represented employees in ILO for FORA, Italy, Japan, and Sri Lanka. And he was also representative member of Council of Indian Employers in the working group formed on important issues on labor, as suggested by the Prime Minister of India. And he served as the member of the state government committees, including working group on labor for the State Planning Commission, the Good Industry Relations Award Committee, and Labor Welfare Board, Minimum Wages Committee of the Tamil Nadu State Labor Department, and National Social Security Board representing the employers. And he is at present the member of Central Advisory Board formed under the Minimum Wages Act and a member of the board of ESI Corporation. And he started his career with SAIL, Steel Authority of India, known for its HR and IR policies. And he had worked in Bhilai, Durgapur, and Salem units of the company, and thereafter briefly in the textile industry before coming to automotive industry. We are extremely happy, sir, to welcome you. Now it is all yours. You can take 15 minutes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, can you share? Good evening.
Yeah,
Nice
good
to
evening.
talk to such a vast audience, waiting to hear all of us, and it's quite a hot presentation. just on the, just immediately after the codes have been cleared by the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Now I have got about 33 slides here, and I'll not be able to spend all the time on all the slides, but I'll go through all the slides and pick up such points which are quite important, and the slides are quite self-explanatory. I'll try my best to make the session a little more lively, but the time is a constraint. Now, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now, there are 12 laws have to be subsumed during the formation of this Occupational Safety and Health Act and Working Conditions Code. And there are so many things have been done by subsuming all the acts in the form of 4 codes. Now we will concentrate on the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code. Next, please. The second National Commission on Labour also has talked about the codes to be formed, the laws to be amalgamated. So that's how it is now being done. Next, please. Now, the bill introduced in the Lok Sabha in September 2020, some of the salient features of the code is to impart flexibility, keeping in mind the technological changes and other dynamic factors, and to cover establishment employing 10 or more workers, and the factory will be, the number will be increased from 10 to 20 where power is used, and 20 to 40 where power is not used. It covers audiovisual, cine, theatre workers, and all electronic media people in e-papers, radio, etc. Interstate migrant workmen are also included. Now there is a concept of one registration for establishment. There is a common license for factory and contract labor, BD and cigar establishment for about 5 years. And all the details in the code will be provided rules by the, I think there is something getting cut below. By the notification by the government. Next. Providing for national and state occupational safety and health advisory board for advising the governments. There is a constitution of safety committee, appointment of safety officers. Night working by women has been eased to, and also to enable the courts to grant up to 50% of the fines in the form of compensation to the victim of the accident, and also to provide and adjudging the penalties imposed under the code by way of compounding, etc. Next, please. Now, if you compare the existing laws and the code, 566 current sections have been made into 143 sections in the code. Rules, well, it is yet to be framed. Definitions are 141, has become 65. The return is only 1. And therefore, we need to wait as to how many rules are going to be made under this code. Next, please. Now, I'm going by chapter. The first chapter is about the preliminary issue. Is about the preliminary issue. See, the first one is the building and other construction work does not include building of the factory or mine or building or any other construction work. The chief inspector will be known as the chief inspector cum facilitator, taking into account his new role. But of course, the inspection will continue to be his mainstay. Contract labor does not include a worker who is regularly employed by the contractor for his own establishment activity, and his employment is governed by the mutual accepted standards of employment. And this also, the contract labor definition also includes the interstate migrant worker, and contractor includes the person who supplies labor also and includes a subcontractor. Now, for the first time, the core act, next please. For the first time, the core activity of an establishment has been defined in this code. The core activity means any activity for which the establishment set up and includes any activity which is essential and necessary to such activity. And what is not to be considered as an essential or necessary activity, or which is not a core activity, is given as a big list. Sanitation, including sweeping, cleaning, dusting, watch and ward, canteen and catering services, loading and unloading operations. Next, please. Loading and unloading operations, running of hospitals, education training institution, guest houses, clubs, and the like, where it is going to be in support service, courier services, civil and other constructional work, including maintenance, gardening, maintenance of lawn, housekeeping, laundry services, transport services, including ambulance services, or any activity of intermittent nature, if that constitutes, even if that constitutes a core activity of an establishment. So the core activity has been defined, and what is not core activity have also been given there. Next, please.